All the stunts were done by him.
When we started adding the winter coat on top of the hyena, it started looking like a teddy bear. Make sure that the CG snow matches to the plate.
It's opening up his mouth. So there's a lot of wrinkles formation happening here. Some particles going off the fur and they fall down.
The roto anim for the branch was like 100% accurate.
It was going towards the wall, again coming back. Hi, this is Jatin Thakkar. I'm working as a VFX supervisor with MPC India.
Hello, my name is Mangesh Aute. I'm working as a CG supervisor at MPC India.
You're watching India's VFX revolution
on IGN India. We know that the Leo is done by Thalapathy, the great Thalapathy, and as we all know, like for the fans, when it's the Thalapathy's movie, there should be action, there should be a romance, there should be a songs and a nice masala story. In the story here, the requirement was definitely a lot of action, and then apart from the action, there was a requirement having a hyena, a CG hyena. To make the movie very spectacle, they have done a lot of VFX like the car chase sequence, the warehouse fighting sequence, a lot of drone shot, fisheye shot, and a lot of invisible VFX as well in this movie. All these adds to make sure that the story gets told to the audience very clearly and keep audience engaged throughout the movie. The hyena particularly was well connecting with the audience emotionally as well. It played as a part of another supporting actor along with the Vijay.
It was pretty much driven by a lot of aspiration and creative input from the director. Like he was pretty much focused right from the beginning that he wanted a realistic looking hyena. Kudos to his thought that he picked up hyena as a character because it is very unique, like in whatever films, whatever we have seen, we have always seen there's a tiger or a lion or
all the big
cats, family is there kind of, but this was very unique from his side to select that. So I think all of that probably made the film a little bit special in terms of VFX. And of course Thalapathy sir, Vijay sir was there, and it was a duo with Lokesh sir and Vijay Thalapathy sir. So it was kind of a great collaboration with them on this. Vijay sir, I would just say is a gem of a person. To work with him in the whole film, almost everything was, all the stunts were done by him. Especially when you are when you are working with a superstar of his caliber, it is always, there is always a bit of a pressure, whether it is like, whether we can tell him to act again and do things, because this was an action-packed sequence, and most of the time, like the action, plus it was action and in terms of also interacting with the hyena also, okay, where the hyena was basically played by a stunt guy in a blue costume. So there is always a chance of doing multiple retakes. However, we did some of them, and Vijay sir was more than happy. He obliged us, I would say. It was very kind of him to do those action sequence, doing those takes again. And I remember his sentence. He was he said that if you are happy, then I am happy. So that put an extra pressure on us. Kind of, okay, we need to get it right. As I said, as a person, he's a gem of a guy. Very simple, and very disciplined, very simple. On the set, like we were there, we were shooting in Kashmir, and the temperature was varying around, was around -9 to -11 and all that. So we used to be all in, like 4 layers because of that -11 temperature and all. But when we always see him, he was, if you have seen the film, he's always wearing a full sleeve shirt and pants. There's nothing much. So I happened to ask him, sir, why you don't feel cold? He very politely and very nicely and smilingly said, I have to do my work. you know. So that's basically a mark of a person who is very honest to his work. We had a schedule which was like multiple shoot schedule, right? Like the first schedule, I think it was around 18 days or so. Then the next schedule was for 5 days. So whenever I used to meet him for the second time, on the set and all, he used to always ask me, how is my hyena doing? How is it shaping? How is it coming up? Kind of. And there was one small thing happened, because since he was acting, and then there is a stunt guy who's also along with that acting as a hyena. He said, okay, I will do my part. Who will do the hyena part? It's up to you to get the hyena work, do the acting the way I am doing it.
First of all, as we discussed, like it's a very unique idea to have a spotted hyena in an Indian movie, and that to like show it in a snow. First of all, when we got this show awarded, it was decided that the shoot is going to happen somewhere in the southern part of India.
Oh yeah.
But then later it shifted to the Kashmir. So initially we thought about the spotted hyena from the African side, which have very smaller length of groom and very rugged look. But when we decided like it's gonna be the snowy environment, we started adding the winter coat on top of the hyena. But yeah, like there was one particular setback, not a setback, but rework we had to do. When we started adding the winter coat on top of the hyena, it started looking cute. But the major requirement of the show is that the hyena should look ferocious. We made sure that the face looked ferocious, but as and when there is a groom length got increase on the body, it started looking like a teddy bear or cute.
Yeah, because we had to slightly then slim it down. Because the volume was quite a bit.
Yeah.
So we said, "Arey, this is the face and all the body is not looking correct." So we started tapering it down.
Yeah. Trimming the
groom a little bit. Certain areas we started,
So we studied some big cat's anatomy, muscle anatomy. We followed that, but also made sure that we are creating the hyena. So for example, very distinctive feature of the hyena is to have the lower back slightly lower than the shoulder height, rather than other big cats. So those kind of simple and critical information, we made sure that we add it into it. There were a lot of wounds required during the action sequence, so we added those wounds. There were a couple of back and forth between the groom department and the modeling department to make sure that those wounds looks great. And also when we started doing the fur simulation, we again revisited some of the modeling aspects so that the muscle definition will be visible when we do the groom simulation with those kind of winter coat. So we enhance sometime the groom, sometime we trim the groom, sometime we enhance the muscle to look it good.
Yeah, just to add on to Mangesh, initially as Lokesh sir, as his one of his key pointers, he wanted the hyena to be a little larger than what you see them. So we had to basically look at some of the hyenas which they normally, we have seen some hyenas which goes up to this height. They are found in Africa kind of. So we had made almost closer to the Vijay sir's waist height. The shoulder was coming up to there and all. And after inserting the dart inside, tranquilizing him, the hyena, and he caresses his fur. That nice, a good shot of him, moving his hand over the fur. At the same time, we are seeing some snow particles, which are also like how we see it, right? If you have anything in the fur which is with snow, you move around, you'll start seeing some particles going off the fur and they fall down. So those kind of things, those minute things were kind of taken care, and they were, the Techenim team had a not a tough time, I would say, but they had multiple iterations because it had to look correct.
Technically, it was not challenging. It was just an artistic driven process to make it more promising. Yeah, like there was one particular shot where hyena running on the ground and going towards those two kids, and he tumbles and he slides in the snow. So we initially thought to entirely fill that area with the snow, but later we decided, okay, just make sure that the animation gets locked and then just fill the area wherever the hyena is going to interact. And that part only we filled it with the snow. We make sure that the CG snow matches to the plate, the amount of the dirt on top of it and the details on top of it should match to the plate as close as possible. And yeah, like then the lighting department did a splendid job to match it to the plate.
I think even on the face, we added quite a bit of detail, because there were some couple of shots which are very close-up shots,
yeah.
where it's basically, it's opening up his mouth. So there's a lot of wrinkles formation happening here. So all those things, those minute details which we had added that. That was a very great scene that was decided.
It came very late, I guess.
It came quite late in the film, while shooting. It came since Lokesh sir, wants in his story, he said that this becomes a part of his family. So that was basically, he wanted that shot to connect human animal, which always we look at as a conflict, but this was more as a connection between a human and a creature. So he wanted that scene. Even the VFX part, that connection between the ground when it's running around, that ground interaction. All the credit goes to Lokesh sir for visualizing that scene, and the credit goes to the animators who have done that scene.
It was not much action. It was the eye movement which convinced the thought from the.
It's just that he's just taking one step, right?
Yeah.
The hyena is just taking one step, and the head goes down just a little bit. Gently, the head goes down. The Vijay sir's head is resting on it, kind of. That's it.
We initially tested out multiple lenses, like when we started putting the hyena in the layout. Due to the wide angle lens, the face was not looking that great for the hyena. So we tested out few lenses, but again we went back to the principal photography lens, and it's a wide angle definitely, so the nose was looking quite big. The branch was main attraction, like the breaking of the branch, and that was the main attraction for the shot. After the layout, the animators did a couple of iterations. We made sure that the roto anim for the branch was like 100% accurate. There was a DMP requirement to fill the crack in the original plate branch, which gets broken later. There was a FX requirement to have some wooden splinters coming out later when it gets broke. And I think lighting wise, nothing much complicated. It's very simple and straightforward. Only the animation took a couple of iterations, and then the effects, and then we are done.
As I said, Mangesh rightly said, it was a helmet cam. The helmet cam is basically, they wear a helmet and there is a camera attached over here, and that was basically 9mm lens. So it is very wide. So everything which is up close looks quite distorted. You must have seen the hyena was quite distorted. So as I said, it is right that there was a challenge in terms of it needs to look correct. At the same time, the distortion should not make it look so weird, kind of, and because of that action, which was quite fast,
Erratic,
it made it look more dynamic. And since there was a person who was was lying down, Vijay sir, we couldn't see the legs. If you see the shot, the legs were only seen like in a few frames, but that made things pretty much a bit complex. That we had to have him between the legs, because it needs to feel that comfortable. Like, see, when you're lying down, that position wise, it has to feel correct, that he's holding it and the hyena is, it is assumed and makes it comfortable that he's between the legs, or he's going on the left or on the right, kind of. So those challenges were kind of, experience in that shot.
The last sequence of the movie where we see the hyena inside a house. During the shoot, we had got the LiDAR scan of the house, and there was a nicely done HDRI which we got. So the particular requirement for the shot where the hyena enters through the door was, initially we need to see just the shadow, not the hyena. And then the hyena comes in, and it's a long camera pullback, and the hyena keeps walking towards the camera. We did the animation by looking at the shadow only. The animators perform in a way that they were showing the shadow initially, and then the hyena comes in through the door. Again, like, that lighting situation was very not a complex job. It was straightforward. When we have the LiDAR scan properly available and the HDRI available, it's we get the lighting position reference correctly, and the shadow is just how much the softness of the shadow we wanted. That was a creative call. The rest, everything was smash it to the plate, stick to the basics.
There's actually the movie. There's a story that there's a goon who comes and enters the actor's house, and he tries to blackmail or or any kind of harm to the family. And then there's a nice name given to the hyena. I think he was calling it the Subramani. That's the name of the hyena, and Vijay sir, takes a call, and then he gives that kind of in the call itself he gives intimation for the hyena to enter, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Subramani.
So it was a very small room. I think maybe almost
4 feet wide.
Yeah, just the 4 feet wide, and the goon, the size of the goon, he was quite huge, but bulky and all. So there was
Very less room for the animators to animate it actually.
correctly, yeah. The hyena is also huge,
And
the
the
goon-
character
and there's
is
just
also
4 feet of room. So always,
yeah.
the hyena was almost going towards the wall, again coming back. So that tussle was,
Yeah. We cheated the wall at the end when we wanted
little
to
bit, yeah.
achieve the shadow properly.
I just want to talk about in terms of this show was a very unique and special for the team at MPC, and like Mangesh initially he mentioned that everyone was super excited about it. I think it would have not been possible if the team would have put more than their 100% on this film, on this whole show. Right from all the departments, all the creative departments, from asset to layout, animation, tech and FX, lighting, comp, all of them played a very, very vital role in delivering this whole show, and that also with perfection, which also the client was very much happy to take that. And in fact, if I'm not wrong, we delivered it a little earlier.
Yeah.
Normally that's not the scenario in the VFX industry, because there's always there's always not I would say there is always not a delay, I would say, because there is
But
always
next to next,
between the VFX studio and the client, there is always a back and forth happening, like, okay, let's do this, let's do that and all. But in this case, it was touch wood, I would say, it went quite very smooth, because both the sides were very much collaborative, kind of, So that's, yes, kudos to the team. And I would say, at the end, I would just say, thanks to Lokesh sir and Vijay sir, giving us the chance to work on this film.
Thank you for watching us. I hope you loved the making of Leo.
And thanks for having us here. It was great fun. And yeah, please subscribe to the IGN India, and see you next time. Thank you.